Welcome to memoQ Talks, where we talk to industry leaders about their experiences, lessons learned, and what works best across all areas of localization. Now here's your host.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the new episode of memoQ Talks. I'm Chedomir Pushica, your host, and today it is my pleasure to talk to Mladen Stojak, CEO of Ciklopea. Hi Mladen.
Hello, Chedo.
It's really good to see you here. And where are you now?
I'm based in. Actually, I'm sitting at the moment in my office in our headquarters here in Zagreb, Croatia.
Cool, very nice. What's the weather like there? Are you getting ready
It's
for
typical.
Christmas and...
It's typical December weather, unfortunately, without any bells and whistles, without snow. So not so nice as it can be.
Well, I hope we'll have the white Christmas this year. We have 2 more days, I think, to wait, right?
2 more days, and considering the weather forecast, I don't think so. But we will survive. It's a 20, and considering all year round, it's something typical for this year.
The good thing is the year is coming to an end. So
Yes,
I think you're very busy, as you mentioned. So we're going to talk about it, your plans, your duties, or whatever you're thinking about these days. So, but before we move on, I would like to ask you one thing. Did I pronounce Ciklopea right, or Ciklopea?
Yes,
How do you pronounce that?
I think so. People, actually, native English speaking people often call it Ciklopea. Locally here we call it Ciklopea. Sure. But when it comes to wider international, I think that the more correct is to pronounce it as a Ciklopea.
And whose idea was it to name the company Ciklopea?
That's a funny thing, because actually I didn't hear that type of question for a while. When we started the company, it was the good thing is that we are celebrating our 18th birthday this year.
When?
And sorry,
when?
It was a month ago.
Okay.
Month and a half ago. Company actually was founded at the end of 2003, and before official start of the day, we had a certain preparations for at least 6 months. During that period, we considered different names, different ideas, and among those ideas was one which stand out, and that was Ciklopea. And as I can remember, that was proposal from my partner Sandra, a friend. She is actually a painter, and she proposed Ciklopea. It was actually based on a name of the constellation. There is a constellation somewhere in the universe called Ciklopea, and we like it. And another good point, actually, there were 2 good points. At that time, there was no Google search string under the Ciklopea term. So there was really zero at the Google when you type Ciklopea at that time. And actually, we were able to register domain name, to register trademark, and all other things related.
That's amazing, because before this meeting, I was trying to go and Google Ciklopea and see, like, okay, let me prepare a little bit for this conversation. Let me learn something more. And you were all over the place. So no constellation, but we have Ciklopea as a star of Google.
Yes,
Google
as a preparation for this conversation, actually, I Googled after I believe more than at least 10 years. I didn't checked it on Google, and I Googled it, and I learned that there are around 20,000,
Wow.
19,000 and something search strings under the term
Wow.
Ciklopea. So that means that we have done something, and that we leave a certain
mark
on the at least on the internet. So
that's true. That's true. You're all over the first Google page. The second I was trying, like, and I just got tired. I was like, okay, I'm just I understand Cyclopedia is everywhere, so you own it completely. And when you were setting out to with a company in 2003, I guess the idea came before you actually went to the corporate register office. And what was your big idea, your big vision? What is your vision? Has it changed in the meantime? But go back in time to 2003. What was your vision at the time?
Yes, you should consider that was the time just after the .com bubble crash, and it was a time for certain new beginnings. If you consider our position in terms of geography, where we are located, and you consider all other factors, it was completely different, completely different circumstances at that time, because business models were completely different, and we believe that we can bring something new in terms of new way of thinking, in terms of new way of how to approach technology, how to get human relationships to different and next level. That was actually our first idea. Sorry, I was wrong. The first idea was survive. That was the first idea. All other things were on the second place, including things I said.
That was really, when I think about it, yes, a lot of new beginnings back in 2003, 2002. Yeah, it was the euro actually was just 1 year old, I think, something like that.
Yes,
was introduced.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
a lot of new things.
And the thing is that our home country, Croatia, where we founded our first company and where we started our business operations, Croatia at that time has done EU accession process. So there were actually huge opportunities for the translation business in general. There was actually it was a year and a half after we started the company. We were lucky in that sense, because there was a huge tender here locally for translation of
acquis communautaire.
Acquis communautaire, yes, into Croatian, and luckily we were among the companies who were selected for a part of that job, and that was actually something what give us a push for a development, overall improvement, something would give us also financial strength, considering our financial capacities at that time.
Excellent. And how did you approach? Now it's really interesting. I think you already know about that, but if I remember well, the Croatian president at one point gave the translation of the Croatian acquis communautaire to the Serbian president when Serbia was about to start the negotiations for the EU accessions.
Yes.
So it's a huge job. And how did you approach it? Did you, when you understood you were selected for the tender, did you start hiring freelancers for the in-house positions, or how did you work? Did you work with external providers?
It was something specific. At that point of time, we had several translators hired already, employees, in-house employees, full-time employees, and it wasn't that job with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and European integration. It wasn't a typical translation tender. It was a special kind of procedure where they invited certain range of companies and give them a test for that job without asking them to bid in terms of price and all other commercial things. So they and if I remember well, 6 of our translators were selected among other translators within the community, actually, because there are other companies as well and other freelance translators who participated. The job itself was too big for any single at that point of time here locally in Croatia. Six translators were selected, and then we started to do that job, and we did it during the whole pre-accession period, which lasts, as far as I know, 6 years or something like that.
Oh wow! What was the major challenge for you in that?
There were hundreds of challenges for us at that time, because company itself wasn't mature in, honestly speaking, for any kind of big cake. And we were about to but the good thing was that we were able to start from small pieces and gradually scale operations as we grown up as a company matured.
This is something I'm really interested in, and we're gonna definitely go back to the maturity and everything. So the operations, the scaling, and what you said really makes a lot of sense. So I would like to dig deeper into that transition period you were going through from being just a small player in the market to becoming a full-fledged company with a series of services and the capacity, which is really important for growth. And now before I move on to that, I would just like to stay a little bit with the challenges of the market you're operating in, which is the Balkans, Croatia, the Balkans, the Southeast Europe. What do you see as how do you look at that market? What are the advantages and disadvantages of doing business in that market?
As every middle, actually every middle has two sides, two flips of the same coin. So when it comes to Balkans, I don't think that Balkans is from the rest of the world when it comes to language services industry. One of the characteristics of the language service industry in general is a fragmented market. So there are many small players in the market. What we can see during the couple of years on the global market is that money guys have recognized the industry as a whole, and there are a lots of consolidation movements on the market. Something like that didn't happen in the Balkan region so far. It doesn't mean that it won't. When it comes to our position as a company, I can say that we have faced several phases in our development since the early days. So we have changed, I think, at least 5 times as a company, completely, in terms of organization, infrastructure. The one thing which is constant in our lifetime so far is that we are trying to develop, and we are following certain processes, and we are doing that from the early days, and what is constant, that we are trying to improve and to somehow evolve good practices and procedures. Everything else has changed numbers of times. And at the moment, when it comes to our market position, I can say that we don't depend on the local market conditions. Say, since we generating more than 80% of our revenue on a global market right now. So what we are using in terms of our geographic position, we are using our good local resources, whether they are linguistic resources, project management resources, other technical people. We are now highly technically competent company, which is able to support our clients in many ways, not just in terms of linguistics and project management. So yes, that's how situation with the company is at the moment.
Excellent.
Am I give you the right answer?
Yeah, the answer is, yeah, you can dig deeper into this answer a lot.
We will probably dig deeper during the conversation, but we have to somehow give a certain to wider picture where we start from and where we are now. Now we can dig deeper into certain details.
Definitely.
If you wish.
So you mentioned before that you had hundreds of challenges with the acquis communautaire, but now I want to ask you, what is your general job? What is the sweetest challenge that you're facing? If there is anything sweet about challenges, I mean, what do you really enjoy doing?
You mean me personally, or?
Yes, you personally.
Yeah. I'm development guy, so I don't like routine jobs. Since with my partner, we have co-founded company. I wasn't at that time with the kind of corporate life, corporate job, having everything in place. So I like challenges. I like development in general in terms of business development and personal development as well. I'm a big fan of personal development as well, and we are strong support to all our employees to follow the way of professional and personal development. So that's my position. I enjoy working with customers. I enjoy creating solutions. I like sales as well, but I don't like old way of sales, pushy sales. I'm big fan of solutions. I'm big fan of helping clients to succeed in their job, in their business.
That's really super cool. And yeah, so you started out as a technical, you said, guy, but how do you find inspiration for your personal development or the development of your employees? How do you actually foster the culture? And how do you, now that we're talking about the culture, how do you hire people? Because that's an important part of the company's strategy, because you the company to share the same culture.
This is the only unique thing about every single company on this planet. That's my honest opinion. Culture is something what makes difference. Everything can be easily copied except culture. I read that somewhere. I'm not such a smart guy, but when it comes to inspiration for the development in general, the good thing is that inspiration found me somewhere, because as we faced certain challenges or problems or challenges, whatever, in business, in company development, I was somehow forced to learn about certain topics, to find good literature, good sources of information, good people whom I can talk to, and that was roughly the way how we navigated the way of development in general. Over the time, we figured out and we developed certain set of values which we are following in the company as well, and this is actually the framework for us as a company and for our way.
What is your preferred method of learning? Is it reading books, magazines, watching videos, following courses? And if so, do you have any recommendations?
Mixture. I would say mixture. I'm a big fan of. I like to read, but since we are living in, we had numerous ways of acquiring informations and knowledge right now. So yes, from my point of view, the most difficult thing right now is to manage the priorities and to find reliable sources of information, to find the competent people. It's easy to follow somebody on Twitter or wherever, but it's very hard to find who really is an authority in a certain area, who really has a knowledge, and what type of information is actually what type of information to acquire.
Now, about learning, and I think that's the basis for companies' progress and development. And how do you, I think like this is a very tricky question, maybe it's difficult even to answer it, but to stay competitive in today's market, how do you stay competitive and still keep the quality?
That's a good question. And what we are facing right now at the moment as a company is actually we are in a very good position at the moment, since we had some challenges in the pre-pandemic time when we see from this perspective, but during the last 7-8 years we passed away of a real specialization as a company. So we started, let's say, as a generalists, and our basic goal was to set up a business, to grow a bit, and then we achieved a certain level of business, and that was our first. When we noticed that we have glass ceiling above us and that we cannot follow the old methods and expect to grow the business. So we started with the slight specialization, but that was very, very challenging, sometimes even painful process. But it the end, right? You can see that it was really rewarding for us.
What was the specialization about? Where did you specialize?
We are targeting 3 main sectors. So we are targeting life science, something what our industry in general called life science, and actually it was mainly pharma and the medical devices. Another vertical is a let's say manufacturing and industry in general. That means production of different industry related things, from automotive industry to tools, machines, and different kind of things. And the third vertical is corporate things in general, whether they are financial or legal. But that is our smallest chunk of business, and we can say that in general we are targeting let's say regulated industries, with the regular demands, and the industries which are following certain rules and procedures in terms of language and in terms of their own development, in terms of terminology and the things they are doing, where we can bring value with the things we know to how to do it.
Excellent. And yes, this is really sounds like a very, very good choice, like something that memoQ is also doing. We have very similar verticals we're targeting. So
yeah, but as I told you, it wasn't easy for us because you know, when we started that process, it was almost 10 years ago. We had a lot of things, a lot of internal, let's say, intercompany misunderstanding in that sense. There wasn't instant success in that sense. We faced a lack of understanding from people. We faced, maybe this is not the best place to share all the details we passed through, but it was at least challenging. Since the start of pandemic. We realized how visionary it was, because we actually didn't face any in terms of business any negative implications of this world on our business.
When did you decide that Croatia was too small for you and you wanted to expand?
If you consider what I said at the beginning of our conversation, when it comes to company name and things related to that, actually our initial idea was to build something bigger, to try to found something that can be possibly international and cross-border oriented. And in that sense, Croatia was our starting point, and you know, we walked through the certain maturity levels, and at certain point of time we decided that we have to go outside, we have to internationalize somehow.
What was the, like, what are the countries that you're present in right now? I know about Serbia and I know about Slovenia, but is there any other country in the meantime?
No. We don't have any legal entity anywhere else. We have employee in Germany as well, but just an employee there, without any formal presence in terms of legal entity or something like that. No, it's not necessary for us anymore. Pandemic completely changed the way of considering doing business, establishing operations. So we are first place right now. We were a remote company before pandemic, but during the pandemic we have become completely remote and remote first. That was our choice, to adjust ourselves to I would say normal modern business trends. We are trying to support our clients in their digital transformation, so we have to be digital first ourselves in order to help them to become more digital. So yes, that's how we think, and we actually we are trying to unlocate ourselves. So we don't want to be connected to, yes, we are here, we are based here, this is our core competence. Our core competence is strongly related to our geographic position, because we have a very deep access to local resources in the Southeast Europe. But our ambition is to go wider in terms of clients and in terms of clients' needs as well.
Good. And now talking about that, where do you see Ciklopea in 5 years' time?
Wow. Tough question.
Wow.
Tough question.
Okay.
Tough question. It's very hard for me to say what will happen in the world in a 5 years' time. We are living in a so-called VUCA world, so it's very hard anything. But when it comes to Ciklopea, what I can say, what I can share with you, that we have ambitions, but not just empty ambitions. We are systematically growing the company. We are systematically building our competence base, and what we want to is to go further with the specialization and further with the building people's competence and at the first place to have to remain certain stable client base and to potentially expand.
Mm-hmm. And how are you transforming? What are the trends that you're following? And where do you think generally the industry is moving?
I believe that the trend of consolidation will continue to happen. That is something what we are witnessing every day. We are witnessing also a lot of new investments into, I would say, new players. I don't think that memoQ as well as Ciklopea, we are companies which are on the market for a while right now, but we are witnessing that a lots of money is going towards, let's say, new technology provider companies who are offering platforms for localization. I believe that this trend will continue to go happen in the future as well. But I would expect certain consolidation at that area as well, because everything exploded suddenly. But we will see, is there enough place on the market for all those guys, for all those players? So what I believe that we as a people who are in the business, who provide solutions to customers, will remain. We will remain here, but technology will evolve somehow. I expect that AI will continue to develop, but all those technologies can be, from my point of view, maybe I'm too old, maybe maybe my perception is wrong, but I believe that all those things will be just a productivity boosters, additional productivity boosters in the future, where people will remain and where people will add value, but with the different things, with different competencies, with the different solutions. Simply said.
That's a very, very good answer. Very thoughtful and a lot of food for thought. And a lot of things are changing. As you mentioned, AI, machine learning, machine translation in our industry. A lot of those things, they are happening and they are shaping our industry.
They are shaping the industry. Algorithms are here, but you know, algorithms are worthless without the data, without good data. And what we can notice that many language service providers, traditional language service providers, adjusting their offer in terms of moving more towards the data providers, data solutions, serving more as a supportive activities for future AI needs. This is probably something which will going to happen during the next period of time.
I have one bonus question, And yesterday, before this interview, I had my question, my ideas. We just, we did put some things that I didn't plan, but they were really like naturally flowing. And I asked the translators on the translation Facebook groups on Facebook in Croatia and in Serbia. But in Croatia, in particular, people were the translators, the freelancers that were responding to the question. I was like, please, do you have one question that I can ask Mladen? Like a question from the audience. And most of the comments were kind of about the rates and the downward trends in rates. So I promised to ask you this question, and if you can actually, from the point of view of the industry of your company, why is that happening? Will that be the new trend? Is there an advice that you would give to the professionals working in the translation industry? And any other comment that you feel might be a good response to those people?
When it comes to our current position regarding the rates, we are in a big renegotiation phase, definitely. Things have changed, as we already mentioned, on a global level. We are all witnessing that is happening, that prices are going up. And this is something what I can say here. I cannot reveal any commercial details regarding our business in general, but what I can say that things are changing, and we will probably have quarters in 2022 of intensive renegotiation of rates when it comes to our clients, mainly to our clients. When it comes to our vendors and partners, we already had certain increase in rates. Mm-hmm. So this is what is happening, and what I can reveal. I cannot go into certain details. There is no company which can make everyone happy at this planet. We are not selling ice cream, as one wise man already said before. So
what would you give as an advice to freelancers in general? Because you're in a position to influence a lot of the market, and you know the market much better than many freelancers do. And you mentioned that maybe you specialized as an agency, you never looked back. And so would you suggest something along those lines, or adoption of technology? How would you, just now putting yourself in the translator's shoes, what would be your advice?
They definitely have to be technology wise. Technology is prerequisite at the moment for any kind of, let's say, serious engagement with clients, whether they are translation companies or direct clients, whoever. We are witnessing digital transformation. World has become increasingly digital during the last 2 years, especially. Other advices would be that, yes, specialization. I would say specialization is the key, because, for example, in our case, that's not a secret. We have around 250 clients and 250 vendors or partners. We call them partners. So we don't need more than 250 people on both sides. Mm-hmm. And we spent more than 10 years to learn that and to realize that. And that's how we are working at the moment. So if somebody, of course, our doors are always open to new partners, to new collaborators, vendors. We are looking for let's say it's very, sounds like a cliche, but we at the first place, we are looking for a, let's say, cultural fit in terms of values, in terms of we are trying to hire people who are nice to work with, where you don't have any, let's say, additional problems, nature in general. We are looking for a fit in terms, of course, when it comes to competence, there is no talks about that. So competences, but as a added value, cultural fit. That's the key. That's the thing. Especially for example, we are all working now in a digital environment, in a remote conditions. So, and we promote for integrity as a one of our core values. So what we expect from people is if we agree on certain terms, to follow them on both sides, on both ends.
And I think this moment to our conversation to quote one of the people we really love here at memoQ, and that's Peter Drucker, and he said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And yeah, so culture is really, really important. We mentioned that before. We're gonna end with that. So thank you so much, Mladen, available for showing up and for sharing all these thoughts and insights. They're invaluable, and I really thank you for that. And also, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a little time for rest, because I know you have a lot on your plate.
Thank you for inviting me, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed the conversation, and wishing you during the coming holiday season as well. You and the memoQ team.
Thank you for joining memoQ Talks, where we talked with industry leaders about their experiences and lessons learned to gain new insights about what works best across all areas of localization. Join us next time on memoQ Talks.